Hello Facebook friends, it's me Barbara with Barbara Wiley Art. Today we're doing a church. Excuse me, allergies. We're doing a church today, and this is the picture. It's kind of a rustic picture today. If I can get this whole thing in here, there we go. It's kind of rustic. It's just some lines, a house. It's like drawing a house, basically. It's not hard to do. With a few trees on either side, they're real easy. But it makes a nice little piece for your home during the Easter time. Now, I've already gessoed my board. It's 11 by 14 canvas. 11 by 14. I'm doing it the long way. And you can go ahead and buy a thick canvas like this one that's 2 inches thick. You can get this either online or over at the Hobby Lobby or somewhere else like that, or Michael's, somewhere else like that. And so you don't have to worry about a frame. I often paint on those bigger ones, so I don't have to worry about a frame. So that's just one thing that you can do. So the first thing that we're going to do, let me get you all set up here because you don't need to look at me. You need to be looking at the picture. Just a little closer here. There we go. Okay, so first of all, we have our colors. We have titanium white. Let me put on my glasses so I can see them better. We have lemon yellow. We're going to be using Viridian. We're also going to be using light purple. We're also going to be using warm gray. We've been using a lot of that warm gray, so much so that I went out. Well, that's not the gray. This is the neutral gray. That's the warm gray is a different one. All right. So then we're going to be using the burnt umber and phthalo blue, which makes a beautiful sky, and other things, but we're not going to be using it for sky. We're going to be using this one, the Viridian, today for the sky. And we're going to be using grass green and silver for the walkway. I liked silver for the walkway. You can use gray if you like, and raw umber for the trees. So those are our colors today that we're going to be using. I've already primed it. It's all ready to go. So we'll get started. You'll need a ruler, and you'll need a small ruler. Let me get the paintbrushes out. Okay, so here are the brushes that we're going to be using today. We're going to be using a wide angular. This is well, I think it says a 4, but you can see how big that is. We're going to be using that for the building. You'll be using a smaller angular. I've got so much paint on the handles and stuff I can't really tell, but it's that size. It's like 1/4 of an inch. And then a medium angular. So you got kind of a small, medium, and large angular group here, if you can see. Small, medium, and large. And then a script brush. And this one is 18-0. And this is the little one that I kind of like to use to do, this is a spotter, a 20-0 spotter that I've been using a lot. And I like to use that to paint my initials in there sometimes, or do just a tiny little bit of touch-up when I need it. So there are the brushes. So we're going to start with our ruler, and we're going to lay in the base. Now on this one, you can do it any way you want. I did about 4 inches from the bottom. So I'm going to do that again, and I'm going to make a mark up here at the top with my chalk, because chalk works well. It always brushes away. So you're just going to make a line all the way across with the chalk. There we go. You see my line? About 4 inches from the bottom, going all the way across. Okay, so now the next thing is you want to lay in the sides, and it looks to me like, again, I've done it about 4 inches, from either side. So we're going to make some marks about 4 inches from the sides. Let's try that again. All right. I live in dog hair. My doggy, my little doggy, gives me the gift of dog hair everywhere. Because she thinks it's good for you. Okay, so I just made some lines going up, and now we're just going to actually measure those lines to see how far they did go. These are about 5.5 inches each. About 5.5 inches. So see, with the chalk, you can just use your finger and erase what you don't need. Okay, so there's the outside of the church, and then it goes to a point. I've got to find the middle. Did I say this was 11 by 14? I meant 16 by 20. I'm not sure I said it right. So 10 is going to be about the midpoint if it's a 16 by 20. So I can just do that. And that's going to be about correct. And then I'm going to make my line going from that point to that point. There we go. And the line going from that point to that point. That works out pretty good. All right, now then, that's the outer church. That's what that looks like. If you can see my chalk. All right. Now I'm going to go to the inside of the, and it is inches. It's about 2 7/8 inches, 2 3/4 inches in. 2 3/4 inches inside, not outside. About that. Okay, and so I'll just make some lines going up and erase them as I need to. There's one line going up. Just kind of eyeball it and make your ruler straight. I kind of look over here and make sure it's lined up with that line. That's a pretty good line. All right, so we need this to be about 4 1/2 inches tall. About 4 1/2. So I don't need this part up here. See how that works? Pretty easy. And down here we need that about 4 1/2 inches tall. All right. Now I've got my middle point, I just need to know how far down I need to come. So that's about 2 1/2 inches. 2 1/2 inches down. All right. Whoops. No wonder that didn't look right. No wonder that didn't look right. It wasn't right. All right. Don't worry, all of it will come off. A little bit of trouble here for some reason. All right, now we'll get it. All right, there we go. We'll get all that erased off in just a minute. Okay, so now we've got the inner one. Now we're going to do the door. So the door is about 1.5 inches in. On either side. I hope you go to church on Sunday. I do. Church is a good thing. There's that. And these go up about 4.5 inches. These were 4 3/4. I don't know how I got that messed up. I'll get this right. That's better. 4 3/4 goes to there. And this is 4.5 here. Four and a half. It's about 2 inches down. The little door is about 2 inches down from that point. There we go. So we've got the rough outline now from this mark here. We're going to make a curved line right like that. So something pretty for the yard. Like that. That's the basic outline of our church. Okay, I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so now we're all set up. I've got my paint set up. I've got my Viridian blue right there, and I've got some white. And we're going to use sponge background again. I'll show you other backgrounds, but right now we're just going to stick with the sponges. So I'm going to dab this, a little bit of white, a little bit of Viridian, and I'm going to go do the background. Just pounce, pounce, pounce like we've done in other pictures. Pounce, 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 pounce. And it makes a really interesting looking sky. Not bright blue, but pretty. The best blue for a sky is actually your phthalo blue, I think, or ultramarine. That does a pretty blue sky too, but this one's just different. Okay, I'm going to pounce away and do my background. I'll be right back. Okay, I've got it blocked in, and now I'm going to go over with a second coat, and I'm going to make sure to get the edges done, like I did on this one. I'm going to make sure I get them all the way down to the end. See, I didn't get the edges all the way down there. You got to get those edges like that. So I'm going to go over it again and get that background just the way we want it to look. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so we've got the background in, and I've painted the sides, you can see, and we're going to dry that. Let me get my hair dryer before we do anything else. living. All right, so put my sponge in the water for now. All right, so what we have left is just the church and the grounds. And I'll be back in a minute to show you what we're going to do next. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to pick up this wide angle brush. I can't really see. Anyways, it's that wide angle brush and some white paint. And we're going to paint in the walls. As you can see from our sample, we're going to have quite a bit of white in here. You can leave it if you want to, just the canvas. I like to paint mine in. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Painting that white in. And I've used a big brush so I can cover area pretty easy. So I'm just going to cut that, staying inside my lines. I want my lines. I went to the trouble to draw lines. I want to keep the lines if I can. If I can. I just think it looks a little bit more professional, a little bit more finished, but you don't have to paint in here. You can get away with just leaving the white canvas if you want to. Okay. So you can see that I'm just covering a wide area without erasing my chalk lines. You can leave the door, probably. You can put a light coat on there if you want to, but we're going to be painting that brown. So the next part is the inside, right there. Which this wide paintbrush just about fits in there. So it makes kind of quick work of it. Now, if you look back at an angle, you can see the places where you might have missed. And I'm kind of looking back, kind of scrunching down and looking back, and you can see the light will shine in on the places where you missed. So kind of scrunch down and take a look at it and see where you might have missed. Get that filled in nicely. And I'll be back in a minute with the rest. Okay, I don't know if you can see it or not, but I have a little problem right over here. One of my doggy's hairs got in my painting. Now I'm going to show you a quick and easy way in just a minute to get that out. Okay, so here's my, using my tweezers. Got part of it. It broke on me. Part of it's plastered down with the paint. There we go. I got it moving around. I say quick and easy. I'm not able to get. There we go. There's my hair right there. Okay. So we're ready to move on now. We've gotten it all. We want to use the brown raw umber, or you could probably use a paint pen. These are black. I don't want to use black. If you had a brown paint pen, which I have somewhere, you could actually outline with brown paint pen, or you could just paint a brown. This is raw umber, the dark brown, and use that. I think it's the dark brown. Yep, I think it's the dark brown. So here it is. Yeah, that's what I was looking for, raw umber. Raw. And I'm going to be using my script brush. This is the little small script brush. Got everything nice and dry, so I'm not going to be getting it on my sleeve, hopefully. So what we're going to do is we're just going to line the sides of this church. You see what I'm doing? Just making a nice straight line, just resting my hand right here on the edge of the canvas to keep from jiggling. Everybody jiggles to one degree or another. Some have a steadier hand than others. So I'm going to make my lines. I'm going to fill in here, up to the top, and around the side, and I'll be right back. Okay, I have the church basted in all the way around, and I forgot to tell you, I'm not doing a steeple on this one, because in this picture there wasn't enough room. Really, I just added it in there. It's just kind of an afterthought. This one I thought I would take it up to the top and be done with this. The little cross on the top, it just didn't fit in. So I've done these all the way around, and now we're going to do the inside doors. So I'll be back in a minute. Okay, I've got my church outlined up. Like I said, I did away with the steeple and brought it up to the top this time, just because there's really no room on the top anyways, and there's going to be a nice big cross right here in the front. So I put my little eaves in. I just kind of sketched them in a bit so I know where they are. I line out inside of the doorway, because that's going to be a darker color than the lighter, than the middle part. So, okay, so now we're going to take that same dark color and we're going to use our smallest brush, angular brush, and we're going to do in our eaves and in the outline of the door. So I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I've got my little eaves painted in, and I've got the frame of the doorway painted in. So the next step, I think, is going to be drying everything, and then we'll pencil in the doorways, the windows, I mean. So let me get out the hairdryer, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm ready to draw in my windows now, and so I've measured, and it's about 3/4 of an inch up and 3/4 of an inch on either side, and about 3 3/4 inch tall. About 3 3/4 inch tall. And then I'm just going to round it up at the top. Just make it like a round little circle. I think I want it skinnier than that. That came out a bit too full for my taste. Chalk works really well when you're struggling to get things just right.